The trials and tribulations of taking a new mech to the battlefield. Welcome to the channel, Gaming Army. This video is the next installment in the Ultimate Challenge series, and it features the Vapor Eagle Rival. Now, some of you newer folks to the channel are saying, what is the Ultimate Challenge, Juan? Well, I'm here to tell you. Ultimate Challenge rules go something like this. It's where I take a stock mech to the battlefield. I'm not allowed to do any changes to the mech as far as structure, weapons, loadouts, etc. I cannot use any consumables, and I cannot unlock any skill nodes. So basically, I am taking a pure vanilla mech to the battlefield to see how it's going to perform in stock configuration, and at the end we're going to rate its performance on the 5-turd scale. I'm going to queue up a couple of drops in their entirety to play in the background as we do our deep dive into the Vapor Eagle Rival. The first match coming your way is a domination match recorded on Rubelite Oasis. Now, if you're wondering about the intro, well, the montages, everybody loves to see me getting my butt kicked, and I do throw that out there just to show that there is a lot of pain and suffering that goes into these videos. Anytime you take a vanilla mech to the battlefield, yes, I'm looking at you, trial mechs, be prepared, you're going to be in for a rough ride. Not being able to make any changes to the mechs or the loadout is really hard. The fact that you're hitting the battlefield without consumables is another handicap, but the biggest one is not having skill nodes unlocked. And this, I'm specifically focusing on radar deprivation. So you will get focused, and they're going to be able to maintain their locks for a much longer time. So if you go this route or do the trial mechs, I just want you to know what kind of a bumpy ride you're going to be in for. So while this series is very entertaining for those of you who love to see me get abused on the battlefield, it's also a good litmus test for specific mech chassis. You're going to see exactly how well they can perform in their vanilla loadout without any alterations, and hopefully that information may help you in your decision-making processes whether or not you want to pick up a specific mech or not.
New target acquired.
Now, getting back to the specifics on the Vapor Eagle, let's take a deep dive to see what we're working with. This is a clan mech, 55-tonner, and it is the Hero Rival. So taking a look under the hood to see what we have to work with, the build looks something like this. It comes outfitted with a single ER PPC, a single ATM-9 launcher, and 3 heavy machine guns. It has an XL330 engine, which gives it a top speed of 97.2 kph, jump jets for nice maneuverability. That's going to help you with your locks for those ATMs. And probably the most underutilized piece of equipment from my playthrough was the mask. Using the mask does jump up that top speed and actually tops it out at 122.5 kph, so you can really get around the battlefield in this mech. I didn't use it as much in my playthroughs just because of the ranged weapons I was carrying, although it could very easily get you into firing position, maybe get you out of trouble, and be able to keep up with some of the fast-moving lights even if you were in hot pursuit. Now, diving into the match that's playing in the background, so far in this drop I'm playing it rather conservatively, and that's because I have superior range. I've got the PPC, I've got the ATMs, and remember the range brackets on the ATMs. I can still do 1 point of damage clear out to 1,100 meters. Now, obviously, I want to engage things more like just under 300 to maximize those ATM damage. But the other thing you have to keep in mind is the flat trajectory of ATMs. This is where my jump jets really shine. It allows me to jump up and do pop-tarting, whether it's with my PPC or ideally jump up, shoot a target with my PPC, and fire my ATMs as I drop back into cover. And so far, this strategy is paying off. Now, I've managed to rain some missiles down on the pocket of enemy, the Echo 5, spinning to my right. There's two that are pushing on this right flank, including this Huntsman, who is heavily damaged. So we're going to stay on him. Unfortunately, he's underrun my ATM minimums, and he won't leave me alone. But I have teammates who are piling on the damage onto his mech, and that frees me up to do a strategic shutdown right in the middle of the heat of things. Absolutely. Hey, it wouldn't be one of my drops without a tactical shutdown, right? So now we're going to go back to focusing these enemy targets, including this catapult, because his center torso is very weak, and now he's open left torso. So that is definitely a ripe target of opportunity, but I've got to reposition myself. I've been trying to move around the battlefield and stay evasive, and as you can see, I'm not doing a super job of it because both of my arms are open and I'm on the verge of losing my left arm. I've also got to be careful, my back is open as well, but that's when the enemy shows up in the form of this wonderful awesome in the low ground. And now I can do my Pop-Tart shenanigans, and he is within my preferred ATM range, which is really helping me out as well. This allows me to get damage on him, mitigate damage that is coming back on me, and I just have to ride that heat scale for all it's worth, doing lots of damage. And the awesome is pretty much out of weapons. He's ducking for cover, and that's why I changed my attention to the elements in Delta 5 high ground. They're more active shooters and more dangerous at this point, so I can use my great jump jet ability to go vertical here, make it up to the second tier, and help my teammates engage these two units at Delta 5. Score is 9-2. There are two on the high ground, one on the low ground, but this is quickly turning into a mopping up situation. We definitely have the power curve in our favor, and there is the Marauder 2, and I can do some Pop-Tart shenanigans protecting my arms. I guess that really isn't necessary now. He's the last man standing, and we're going to focus him down in short order. So switching over to the end score on this one, we wind up with no kills, but 11 assists and 532 damage done. Moving on to our second drop, this one's going to be a skirmish match on Grim Plexus, and as this one plays out in the background, we can continue our dissection of the Vapor Eagle rival, because we have yet to dive under the hood and check out the quirks. And doing so, we find some very interesting things. The first thing you're going to want to notice is there are some quirks to the jump jets, and that comes in the form of thrust and burn time. And that's why you've got such great vertical maneuverability with this mech. Another thing you'll see in the quirks is some token quirks to the base armor. Nothing fancy, but just a little something something. It gets more interesting when we dive into firepower, because that's where you see the minus 20% missile cooldown, so you can fire that ATM faster. The other thing is you get plus 30% machine gun rate of fire. That means anyone foolish enough to try to underrun your ranged weapons is going to be in for a bit of a surprise, possibly a world of hurt if they have open components. You also have minus 10% heat generation, and interestingly enough, you have a minus 20% UAC jam chance. Now, that doesn't mean anything in this configuration, but it's something to think about if you're considering alterations down the line. And of course, we couldn't skip the biggest quirk of them all, and that is the fact that this is a hero mech. So yes, you get that plus 30% C build bonus. This definitely is one of those mechs you'll want to have on hand if you're trying to farm and collect C builds for future purchases in game. Jumping into the action on this drop, the enemy units have used Fox 5-ish, Fox 6 for the opening moves in this match. They're trying to leverage that hilltop either for sniping and or cover, but the downside to that strategy is it's allowed me to do the same thing on the opposite side. My teammates have followed as well, and so now it becomes a peeking, pop-tarting shooter game, which is perfect for this mech. I'm not going to complain whatsoever. We do have a few of them spreading out left and right, trying to do some skirmishing and get different angles on us, but us on one side of the hill, them on the other side of the hill, that is perfectly fine with me. We have a fire starter and also a Warhawk that seem to like the Delta 5 area. I'm not sure what they're doing out there, probably trying to suppress my two friendly units out towards Delta 6. So I'm trying to move over right side, add some support fire, and this is where I see the fire starter trying to get my ATMs out there, add some damage to him. As I move up, I get locked up by an enemy unit over towards Echo 5 somewhere, and this is what I was talking about, radar deprivation or lack thereof. They got an easy lock on me and are continuing to rain missiles even though I'm behind terrain, so just be aware of that. Luck is with me, however, because the fire starter decides to push in trying to underrun things, and that allows me to bring my machine guns to bear, and that plus 30% rate of fire comes into its own at short range, and we're able to punch through the fire starter for our first kill of the match. Now, peeking it back out around the corner, I've got to be aware of whoever is dropping the LRMs, because that is the Achilles heel on this thing, is that then they can lock me up for days at a time, or at least it feels like days at a time. That's when I see the Shadowcat running through open CT on the Shadowcat. Can I get a kill shot? The answer is no. A teammate squeaks out the kill before I can finish him off, but there's a Crusader up on the hill, and he looks interesting because he is open left arm, left torso, and you know Crusaders rip their arms off, and there goes a whole lot of their firepower. So that's what I'm trying to focus on, keeping him under pressure, continuing to do damage. He's lobbing those missiles. I think that's who was shooting me before. Down he goes. Teammate picks up the kill, and my goodness, now I've managed to find an Orion, and he is super fresh. This is not a fight I want to take. I start backing off. I'm trying to get into cover. He's got missiles as well, and of course he's going to be able to hold locks on me for days at a time, as always. Oh, I hate lack of radar deprivation, guys. It really stinks. I'm now open center torso, right torso, but I can still do cheeky jump shots. That's right. You take that, Orion. Get some PPC and ATM shots on him. Oh, but he is pushing out. He's definitely coming my way. He doesn't like me. I'm trying to look for some cover as I get some shots, and that's when I see a wounded Warhawk. We get a snapshot out on the Warhawk, and it's enough to take the Warhawk out of the game for our second kill, but the heat is real and it triggers our technical shutdown, and you know what that means. If you're enjoying the content thus far, give it a big old like, and if you want to join the Sleepless Nights Gaming Army, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you turn on that notification bell so you don't miss out on future content like this. And guys, I do appreciate all of the support that you're showing me and the channel. Now, this is quickly turning into a mopping up situation. Score is 10-5. We're just hunting down the last two remaining enemy units. And while that takes place, it gives me a quick moment to give you some final thoughts on the Vapor Eagle Rival. So this is a very capable mech chassis, even in vanilla form. You'll just want to play it a little more conservatively. You're going to want to employ the PPC early in the game and pick your targets accordingly. You can add long-range chip damage with the ATMs, but you really want to close to mid or shorter range with those ATMs to maximize the damage, and those 3 machine guns are wonderful if somebody wants to underrun you. So all in all, a very good mech, and that is why this mech, once you've conquered the learning curve, you can actually succeed in it. That's why this will earn it a 2-turd rating. And speaking of 2 turrets, we've found the final 2 remaining enemy units, and we've managed to put them down. So checking out the end screen on this drop, we wind up with 2 kills, 9 assists, 622 damage done.